Hello and welcome to The Shift, an engaging video series powered by ETH Insights. I'm Ashwani Mishra, Editor Technology. The conversations on The Shift will feature Indian and global leaders as they dive deep into the nitty-gritty of their respective fields. The Shift will uncover the genuine challenges and the opportunities of these leaders and will unveil the strategies they are embracing to move forward. In today's conversation, we will discuss what is the shift that is taking place while hiring for a leadership position. I have been joined today by Ramarao Suresh, Managing Director, Insist Consulting, to discuss what are the emerging leadership opportunities for Indian executives. Hello and welcome, Suresh.
Thank you.
It's great to have you for this conversation.
Nice to be here.
Right, hiring for a senior leadership position can be quite challenging. Let me ask you first, what are some of the factors and skills that are table stakes in leadership hiring?
Well, we need leaders to run the enterprises in a profitable manner.
True.
That's gonna miss a little bit, and grow. Both the parameters are emphasized. You can't just grow and invest money and not get profitable.
Right.
So you need to have profitable growth. So the biggest challenge is to identify executives who have the orientation to both grow in volume or scale or in revenue, top line, market share, blah, blah, and also be profitable.
Right.
So this is the biggest quality that we look for, the duality.
Right. So while you touched upon the factors, one in terms of driving business growth and the profitability piece, what are do you also look at the soft skills or the people issues, or more so in terms of how they manage people?
Soft skills, absolutely. You can never overemphasize the need of soft skills. That's given. You can't have a leader who is tough and who is going to ruffle the feathers. So the soft personality is a must. But it does not mean that you get a goody soft man who is not pushing those two parameters, the profitable growth. If you want me to put some weightages, I think the hard performance is important, and equally important is the softer skills. Maybe just about half a notch lower in terms of pecking order, but both are there, both are required.
Absolutely. So out of curiosity, let me ask you this question, Suresh. Who, according to you, would be the CEO or the managing director who has actually helped the company grow, both in terms of what you have just outlined, maybe in today's times or in the past?
No, there are plenty of good people who have done exceptionally well on both the parameters. All IT company CEOs, for instance, despite IT facing headwinds now in the US, but the companies have been managed by leaders in both the dimensions. Have you ever seen an IT company degrow, excepting during COVID or thereabout? But they're always grown. So all IT company CEOs, including say the Salil Parekh of Infosys, or Vijay Kumar of HCL, or Thierry Delapart of Wipro.
Right.
All of them are in that mold. They're looking at all three aspects, let me say. Growth, top line, profitability margin, and building the organization. The Indian IT companies are a classy model of achieving right balance.
Right. How are you, helping enterprises find the right, leadership positions, and helping them, overcome the challenges that they may face when they are looking at such a position within the company?
See, today, if you are a static company managing the business operations in a bit of a soft pedaled manner, then you will be, losing the race. You need CEOs who are really hard driving the agenda, right? So we need to put how we help the companies. We first of all document what they're looking for. Most often, the problem is to be documented, and that we assess them.
What would you document in that sense?
So we will first, I just finished a document in the morning. So we will write what are the areas of functionality and areas of business that needs to be driven by the CEO in the next 3 to 5 years.
Right.
Do you need to launch new products, or do you need to collaborate with external entities for bringing in new technologies, or do you need to open up your frontier in a new geography? Do you want to internally hire people, increase the trade, get more emphasis on maybe distribution of your product? So whatever, the functional areas have to be enlisted. That pieces sometimes gets jumbled up in the minds of the board or the hiring authority. So we try to streamline that. And the second piece that we help them is, where do you get such animals? It's no brainer to go and look for CEO in the same space. But that's not easy, because everybody is locked into that space and they know each other very well. And actually cross-pollination of industry sometimes helps. So we try to find out, we enlist the core and the adjacent sectors from which we need to attract talent for companies. You'll be surprised. Some of the most new generation businesses are having so much of synergy with some of the traditional businesses, which companies don't realize. There is recycling of the stubble waste, which is a big thing now in India. We all complained about pollution in Delhi and North India and elsewhere. And the reason was the burning of stubble by the farmers in the North Indian terrain. And we said, now there's a revolution in India of recycling those agricultural waste along with industrial waste. They're going to directly generate a pipeline gas, and they're calling it what used to be compressed natural gas, now calling renewable natural gas. We said this is a very new gen industry. Some 100 plants are coming up in the country, new technologies. But we've, if you break it down, the relationship with farmers, the farmers' propensity to part with even waste was a tough thing in India. Farmers were thinking somebody's intruding. So you needed leadership who have dealt with farmers over years, right? So we got fertilizer industry or agrochemical industry leaders to be akin to this space. So this brainstorming to enlist adjacent sectors and somewhere there is a lot of relevance and immediacy of gains, we do that for companies.
Absolutely.
So once you establish where do you attract from, then there's so much of relief. That's like, this is what we wanted, and maybe as a consultant you could get to that core. That's what we do.
Right, very nice example of the traditional and the new age companies, and we have seen a lot of movement from the traditional companies, big executives joining startups, new age companies, and I'm sure it will continue even ahead. But one final question that I had for you, Suresh, in terms of the opportunities, what are some of the opportunities that comes to mind when you look at these leaders or the leadership positions that you're trying to fill?
See, India is booming. To say it's at the inflection point, it's at the cusp of becoming a big league of top 3 economies and hence plenty of corporate growth is an absolute cliche. It's there, everyone is taking it. But what we need to go deep into is what portion of Indian economy is showing huge potential to grow, huge resilience to suffer or to withstand attacks on its very feasibilities, and how do executives and the board play a role in ensuring the companies come out unscathed, right? This is important. What is happening in India today, if I put them in some perspective, it's not just in the world or not just in the conferences. Decarbonization is a big strategic weapon which every company is having to resort to. It's not just that automotive companies are going electric and they will be the first off the block to be seen as a green company. No, everywhere we have this decarbonization. Chemical companies, there is a green steel, there is green automobile, and there are power plants which are capturing the carbon the process called the sequestration of carbon. They're capturing carbon. CCS companies, for sulfurization companies. Everybody is doing something to reduce the carbon footprint and be compliant with whatever is the norm set for India. So that's a big trend. So we are looking for leaders, to answer your question, for manufacturers of wind turbine, for manufacturers of solar module, manufacturers of storage batteries, manufacturers of automotive vehicles, motors, the drivetrain, the battery pack, the battery. This just goes on. It's not only just the vehicle, the value chain in that vertical. They're all hiring, right? So that is a big chunk of hiring that we are seeing. Look at solar. Solar panel used to be imported from China. Today, India will be one of the largest integrated manufacturers of solar module, which means people will make ingots from sand. They make ingots, and then they make the wafer, and from the wafer they will dope and make the cell, and then the cell will become the assembly. So many years it was only the cell which was getting imported. Now integration, that's what I mean to say, integration. So there are opportunities in solar module manufacturing, and we will be the cheapest. Similarly in wind energy. And then the solar modules will go on to become the solar power plants. Now solar power plants are going to be utility grade, wherein you generate power to the city, or it could be only for a captive use of a company, or it could be on your retail, on your building rooftop. So all of these are new engines of growth of this economy, while it is achieving the transition or decarbonization, right? That's one big chunk. I feel India needs at least 5,000 to 10,000 leaders, CXO level, in decarbonization alone. I'm just putting some guess on that, a number to that. If indication of how much activity is going on is any indication of the trend, there is plenty. Now, like decarbonization, second big trend is digitization or digitalization. We think AI, ML, and now the generative LLM models are very exotic models suitable to the Western world. The big 7 tech companies in the world have all increased their market cap by multiple trillion because of these, LLM invention in 2022. Already the market. It's not that, but if we carefully use them for speech conversion, language conversion, speech to text conversion, and use it for very dilapidated services of public utilities in our country, LLM is going to be a weapon which will enhance the quality of life in India. There are plenty of companies, startups who are working in, you don't have to do a LLM with so much of streaming data. You don't have to be Shakespearean essays factored in LLM. You can have your own small LLM, which will help your medical area or your farming area or your education area, and build LLM models around that. And how many companies can spawn off? So it's not that only ChatGPT or Lambda has to be used. There will be the companies which are going to create small LLMs which to use for all of these public services, which in India today is deplorable, even with so much improvement. And the quality of life for an average Indian, or even for a poor Indian or a rural Indian, will go up. And it's not a vision. It is implemented by smaller startups who are all beelining or beehiving in that space. So look at how there's a decarbonization, digitalization, and third area which I am always coining it is actually reverse of what is the popular thinking is deglobalization. People had your vitamins which you use, or even a paracetamol which you consume, or a blood thinner which you consume, is directly imported from China. Okay, you didn't know this, right? 90% of paracetamol is imported from China. The API is imported from China. So Indian companies' prowess to make a chemistry is unbeatable. We are just importing because the cost, or because China has economies of scale and they can dump it at almost throwaway price, and why make it here? So the deglobalization now, with the emphasis of all the PLI schemes, particularly to make your mobile components in India, telecom components in India, bulk drug components in India, everything in India, you're saying forget importing, you deglobalize, you make it here. But since a country like US or Europe will also deglobalize and will also try to prevent imports from China, you be in their favorite list. So that as part of deglobalization, you're getting a double down effect. You're strengthening your own supply base and stopping the import. In somebody else's import, you're getting into the preferred list. So the deglobalization has plenty of opportunities for this country. Amazing amount of chemistry, amazing amount of engineering development, people are now, if you go on a highway, Bangalore, Chennai, on the left side are gigantic factories. They're all making Apple phones, and integrated components. Display screens are being made, the battery packs are being made. All of those components are coming together. It's not just the assembly. So all of these three things are newer and exciting and bulkier and massive scale-based engines of growth of Indian economy. Other than the traditional companies, which are also doing all the three, which are also going through all the three things. Even a consumer company or an insurance company or finance company are also implementing their LLM or their CRM through, no longer you need a call center, the bot will take over. But the call center people will be used for enhanced design of that system. So they will all have jobs. India will have least impact on the job loss as compared to the white collar based working in US or in other world. So I've done a lot of studies in that area. So at the end of the day, these three chunks, plus the traditional companies also adapting into these areas, is making the country at this point really short of leadership talent. We are knocking at at various potential avenues to get people for companies which need people.
Absolutely. So very interesting. You touched upon the decarbonization piece, the use of technology like generative AI, and then deglobalization, which is very interesting. So would you term these as the shift actually, which are actually changing the environment?
Yeah, these are the three trends. Plus, all the traditional companies also are having to be competitive in these areas. Today, each company in its quarterly report has to provide the carbon score. They have to provide the adaptation of new technologies to their shareholders. So all of these companies, I don't see any difference between the evolution of companies in India versus evolution of companies in the United States, excepting the fact that tech companies make products which are applicable to the whole universe. That is still originating from the US, which makes all the big 7 tech companies just bolster in their market cap and growth and so on. But services and certain basic products which India is making it world class.
Absolutely. Right, Suresh. Thank you for such beautiful insights and sharing your thoughts with us. It's a privilege to have this conversation with you.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful to talk to you. And I'm so glad that we are in a position to talk about good things which are happening in this country.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.